And good morning, everybody. My name's Dave Lynch, and this is the Newton Falls Coronavirus Morning Briefing. We do this every morning right around 7:30, give or take a few seconds. And we do an approximately 15-minute presentation talking about what's going on with the local effects of COVID-19. Sometimes we have medical professionals, sometimes we have government officials helping us know what's going on here in Newton Falls, and sometimes we have local people with their businesses telling us how they are adapting to the coronavirus, the COVID-19 era, right here in Newton Falls. We want you to listen to what the governor has to say, and Dr. Acton in the briefings, much longer ones that the governor has at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And in addition to that, the presidential task force, although it's winding down, there certainly are federal communications going on frequently towards the end of the day. But this is just a way to sort of give you a sense of the flavor of what's going on here on a local basis in Newton Falls. And speaking of local, the headline might be, "Local Kid Makes Good." And that's because we have in our live line the president of St. Elizabeth's Hospital, the pride and graduate of Newton Falls High School, Kathleen Harley. Good morning, Kathy. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. I'm great. How are you?
Great. So in the hospital, do they have like a throne room where the administrative and executive power resides there in your office?
Yes. There's a lot going on these days, but I am very thankful to say both in Mahoning and Trumbull County that it's getting better. It's getting better. We just have to be smart going forward.
Yeah. And you say being smart. The hospital itself, have you had to undertake, obviously a hospital is a very clean, germ-conscious place to begin with, but are there things that you've had to do differently in the hospital as it relates to the COVID-19 era?
Oh, absolutely. From how we cohort COVID positive patients onto one unit. We had multiple intensive care COVID units initially and multiple step down or intermediate COVID care units. Also, we've now gotten them down to one of each. So that's great news. That tells you how much the numbers have come down. Many have successfully recovered, been discharged either to, a lot of people have to go to long-term care because they're not ready to just go home after this horrific experience. Some have been discharged to home, but unfortunately we've lost some also. So it's the way we care for the patients, but it's also for the staff. If you were allowed in, and at some point we'll get back to visitation, much more open. Not that there hasn't been allowed some visitors, because you have to just put them in PPE and do what's the right thing for the patient and the family at times. But those are very select, and they have to be. But if you would see it, you would see everybody walking through the halls in a mask. It doesn't matter. Everybody is in a mask. Staff, if a patient's transported from one location to another and they don't have COVID, they're still in a mask. So high-touch cleaning areas, light switches, doorknobs, that started back in early March, adding extra staff to just do that consistently all day long. Special equipment cleaning everywhere. It has changed for certain. We've always been conscious as an infectious control standpoint, but it's certainly on steroids now.
Sure. Kathy, and I don't want to get overly political, but a few weeks ago, Newton Falls was the only municipality in Trumbull County to require that customers wear masks, even though the governor made it optional. Was that a good move on our part, or do you think we overdid it?
I was so impressed when I heard that. No, you did not overdo it. That is, and I'm giving the commencement speech. It's pre-recorded tonight for Newton Falls also, but I talked about always having golden rules, and we came out of 9/11 with golden rules, where we're coming out of COVID-19 with golden rules, and there's 4 of them, and they're so important. And one is you wear a mask when you're in public and with places that you have no idea the person you're next to, where they've been or what they've had. A mask stops transmission. We know that. There's evidence-based literature to prove it. Secondly, you keep that social distancing of at least 6 feet, but it's not always 6 feet. If somebody's screaming at you or singing to you, their spray is going to travel much further on forced expiration than 6 feet. So be mindful of that, your situation. That's the second one. The third one is wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. You don't know when you come in contact with this live virus. No alarm bell goes off to say, uh-oh. So all you can do is limit your wrist exposure. And there's actually a mathematical equation for these 4 items that I'm talking about that decreases your incidence of risk. But if you wash your hands, you're going to be removing it. As easily as this virus is spread, it is just as easily killed. So you need to do that. And then the fourth and final golden rule is keep your hands off your face, because if it is on your hands and you wipe your lips or rub your eyes, you have just put it into your mucus secretions, and you don't want to do that.
Those sound like great words of advice. Kathy, tell me a little bit about the morale at the hospital. As the president of St. Elizabeth's Hospital, obviously it's important to maintain a positive workforce. How's morale doing, and what have you been doing to make sure morale is kept high?
Oh, we have done a lot, and trust me, the community has too. So we have 3 hospitals. I'm the president of the Level 1 Trauma Center in downtown Youngstown, but Boardman and Joe's also are part of our family. And all 3 hospitals, sure, it's been tough. I'm not going to tell you it's not tough. Intensive care nurses see death. They don't see it at the rate we saw it with COVID-19. I was an intensive care nurse. I saw death. It's horrifying. But it was never at the rate that what these nurses have seen since this has gone on. So it's been tough. But their morale is excellent. We pulled together from physician to nurse relationships, nurse to other healthcare provider relationships, from the dietary department to the people, the cleaning department. It didn't matter. Everybody has really pulled together. But I would also like to put a shout out to all the communities in Trumbull and Mahoning County, because they've certainly bent over backwards to make us know that they appreciate what we're doing each and every day. And trust me, that means a lot to these frontline workers. You'll never know how much the cards, the letters, the prayers, the food have meant.
Well, Kathy, we love what they do, and your leadership over there has certainly been important. I want to learn a little bit about your own story. From what I understand, you are an architect wannabe who became a nurse, and now you're the president of the hospital. How did that happen to a little girl from Newton Falls?
Well, once I decided that nursing was my path I should go to, I actually had to go to work for a few years, because my father worked at Rockwell, and if you remember Newton Falls, that shut down.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and then my mother lost her job, so my parents couldn't just hand me a college education. So I went to work for 5 years, saved every cent I could, so that I could go to a bank and get a student loan. So from there, I went to Trumbull Memorial School of Nursing and got my diploma, and got out and got hired at Trumbull Memorial and went directly into the intensive care unit. From there, I worked on getting my bachelor's of nursing, and I did that through the Sharon branch of Penn State. Continued on for a few years in intensive care, then went into the operating room, and what a great experience in nursing that was, because you see the body from the inside out. And then I kind of fell into a management role. I really wasn't looking to manage anybody, and it's a convoluted story, but we'll just say that I got into my first management job. And at that point, I realized that, especially in the operating room leadership, operating room is a very expensive place, and you've got to know how to balance quality and top-rate care, but you also have to balance the finance side. So I went back to Youngstown State University and got my bachelor's, my master's in business administration. And from there, I just climbed the corporate ladder and went to different hospitals. I worked over in Western PA for a while, but I was the director of surgical services. Then I became a vice president of nursing. Then I became a chief nursing officer. And then I was recruited back to Youngstown to become the president of the Level 1 Trauma Unit.
Well, it's a very inspiring story. Newton Falls High School graduate, and my understanding is, as you mentioned, you received a call to be the commencement speaker at the graduation ceremony this year. What does that mean to you, and does it have a special significance given that these are the graduating class of the COVID-19 year?
It means a lot, and I was very humbled to be asked to do that. because I just do what I do every day. I don't think about it. It's a part of what I do, just like what you do every day for your living and all the folks listening on this call. We just get up and we do what we do, and we do it to the best of our ability. So to have somebody to ask me to do this was very humbling. And it's also unique, too, because my youngest nephew will be graduating tonight also, Mitchell Hartley. So.
Well, Kathy, we are going to be replaying the video that will be created this evening and also has been created in an edited format that will be quite beautiful. We'll be playing it on our cable channel all day tomorrow, and also we'll be rebroadcasting it on YouTube and on Facebook. And I know one of the most significant features will be the speech that everybody will see over at the Skyway Drive-In tonight. By the way, pretty unusual to have a parade and then have everybody sitting in their automobiles over at the drive-in over at Skyway, isn't it?
It is, and hats off to Newton Falls School System and John Crowder for doing this, because when I had to give my video presentation to the videographer, he noted that he was willing to even do this, for his school, but nobody did it. I said, well, how many other schools did this? He said, nobody but Newton Falls. So hats off to Newton Falls, because, graduation as a high school is an extremely special time for these kids. And to have this taken away by no fault of their own or anyone else's, it's sad. And they've done the best to make it the best experience they can. And I think Newton Falls schools and John Crowder should be very proud of what they've done.
Well, listen, Madam President, thank you for spending some time with us this morning. Peace to you, good health to your family, and we'll see everybody over at the Skyway tonight. Have a great day today. Thanks so much.
Thank you also. Have a great day.
All right. That was Kathy Harley, a Newton Falls Tiger, who is the president of St. Elizabeth's Hospital and the trauma center over there. And we're just so excited about the idea that she's going to be giving that commencement speech tonight. Everyone at the Skyway will see it, and you will see it tomorrow on the city's cable channel 1023, our YouTube channel, also on Facebook. And she talked about the great work of the high school and the administrators in the school system, Paul Woodard, who's our superintendent. And she also mentioned somebody, not by name, that I'll say right now, Tom Gregory of Gregory Films, who's worked so hard. And I know he's worked hard, because it has been night after night after night. And when we get up early in the morning and do these morning briefings, I can see the fatigue of the hard work that went into this. So everybody who's a Newton Falls Tiger, Tom Gregory has been a real tiger in terms of making sure things go smoothly at that outstanding ceremony that will be tonight. Well, right now I'm going to change gears in a pretty significant way, because I'm going to bring on the live line a fellow that manages the VFW Post 3332 in Newton Falls, and they've been coping with the COVID virus as well, and that's Pete Price.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Pete. How are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, Pete, it's Dave Lynch. Yeah, I've got you on the live line here in our morning briefing, and you're the manager of the VFW. They're on Arlington, right here in Newton Falls, aren't you?
That's correct. I've run that for a while over there.
Well, obviously, the governor's orders have caused things to shut down. How is the club coping being in shutdown mode, and what are you doing to get ready for the reopening?
Well, this has been trying times, and we have the post shut down, and basically we have very limited access to it, even for our members. We are not open at all as far as our canteen goes, and the oversight and regulations that are being passed down to us, it does not make it viable for us to open up. We do have the okay to open up as of tomorrow, but we do not have all the safety measures that we need to get in place and to guarantee the safety of all because of our limited space.
You know, Pete, the VFW in Newton Falls bears a special relationship to our community because it's a place of solace, contemplation, fraternity, and socializing for people that have served our country. So this is especially difficult. How are the veterans coping?
Well, I haven't been in touch with a lot of our veterans, but I have regular contact with some. And, we have 3 veterans organizations in town, and, and they offer a lot of support for the community. And being Memorial Day's coming up, this is the first big consequence of this disease because we're losing our celebration and our honoring of our veterans and the laying of the wreaths by our organizations at Veterans Park come Monday. So this is trying times for all, and that's one of our concerns going forward is, we have to guarantee the safety of our veterans in our place of business and meeting places, and that's very difficult.
Yeah, Pete, talk to me about the finances. The VFW also is a wonderful place to hold an event. And so there is a financial structure to the VFW. Given the orders that have shut you down, how are you guys able to limp through the process?
Well, it's trying, but because of a pretty good internal business model, we're okay for the time being. But it's not feasible for us to open up on the economic side right now either because of the social spacing and everything that needs to be done to be in compliance. It's just not economically sound to do it because just the way we're structured. Now going forward, we do a lot of hall rentals and weddings and graduations, and these are things we depend on, which have all been canceled as of right now, or should I say, been put on hold. So going forward, we're gonna meet an impasse here where we're gonna have to do something, to continue our operations.
Yeah, well, and what a great hall rental location it is. Pete, I've got to tell you, the best fish fries that I've ever gone to are the ones that are Friday nights during Lent. And I remember this past Lent, I think you had 1 or 2, and then suddenly it just shut down. The lights went dark, and all that opportunity for good contacts and fellowship and financial support just kind of disappeared into the wind, didn't it?
Yes, it did. That was the very first victim of, the response to the virus. And then it just progressed from there as things became, more involved and going forward, more entities got involved and stuff. So that really put us all in the first, in the same place, I guess. So, the fish fries were the first victims.
Yeah, that's a terrible shame. Well, I want to put your number. It's up on the screen now anyhow, so that when things do open up, there is really no better place to contact us. 330-872-7318. And Pete Price is the manager over there at the VFW. And I just want to say, Pete, thank you for what you're doing for the veterans. Thank you for your service. And good health to you and your family. Thanks for all that you do.
Well, thank you, David. And hopefully, as things, go forward, they'll get a little softer and we can, get things up and running and stuff. And all the organizations feel the same way. We stay in contact with all of them, and that's what we want to do. We will get back to normal someday, but only, if we can do it in a safe way. That's our plan.
All right, Pete, well, I thank you and know this. If you need any help from City Hall, just give me a call, and we'll be glad to be of service to you, all right?
I will do that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, Pete. And that was Pete Price, who administrates and serves and is part of our veterans community. VFW post 3332. We seem to have sequences of numbers in Newton Falls, don't we, a lot? Those 5 4s and then the 3332 for the post. But one of the things I'll make sure people do when it comes to numbers is keep on praying. Do things to keep your family close to you. Let them know how much you love them. and especially the real small kids, help them realize that there are so many great spiritual things in life, and that they should realize that the COVID-19 is a difficulty that's been thrown before us, but if we keep our faith in the good Lord, we can deal with it in an effective way. And maybe in some ways we've all had a chance to get a little bit closer to our own family members, maybe our neighbors that we kept an eye on. That's a good idea as well. Well, that's the end of another morning briefing. Looking forward to seeing the outstanding speech by Kathy Harley from St. Elizabeth. So you'll be able to see that tomorrow on all of our locations, YouTube, Facebook, and Spectrum 1023. And those of you that are fortunate enough to have been invited by a graduate, tonight you will be able to see all of that right on the screen at the drive-in. And in fact, there's a parade that starts at the high school that goes over there, that starts at 8 o'clock in the evening. People are gathering about 7:45, and you'll be able to drive all the way to the Skyway, but you won't get in unless you've got a ticket from a graduate, and then you'll enjoy those outstanding festivities because of the way Mr. Crowder and Mr. Woodard and Gregory Films have worked hard to make sure that this whole thing gets put together. So we look forward to that. So thanks, everybody. And as I say at the end of each one of these briefings, God bless America and God bless the city of Newton Falls.